Daily Broadside, day 665. Last night, I was sitting out on my patio drinking beer with my neighbor, and we're sitting there talking about stuff. And I said, "Hey, man," I said, "guess what I did the other day?" He's like, "What's that?" I said, "I tried collard greens." He's like, "How so?" And I said, "Well, it was on a burger. It was a fried egg burger with bacon and bacon. What do we call it? Collard greens cooked in bacon fat." And I thought to myself, it's very difficult for me to turn down any burger that has a fried egg on it. It's just a thing with me. If I see a fried egg burger, that's typically what I'll get. But I was a little put off by never having had collard greens, and they don't really look that appetizing from the people I've seen eat them. But I thought to myself, you know what? When in Rome. And I wasn't in Rome. I was like, 20 minutes from the house. But I told the lady, I said, "Hey, would it be possible to get the collard greens on the side in the event that I don't care for them?" And she's like, "Yeah, no problem." So she brings out a bowl of collard greens that I feel was more substantial than what I would have gotten on the burger. But nevertheless, I bite into them, and I mean, they were okay. They weren't great. They weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, but not something that I think I would ever yearn for, if you know what I mean. So I'm telling him this story, and I said, "So my question to you is," and this is why I bring this up, good sir. I said, "What is a collard?" And he's like, "It's the green." I'm like, "Well, no. I get the collard green is the green, the part of the plant that, is the leafy part or whatnot. They call it the green." I said, "But, you take a turnip, for example. A turnip is like a potato, or maybe it may even be a tuber. I don't know. But that goes underground. And then above ground, I think that the green stuff on the turnip sticks up above the ground. That's how you know when it's ready, or you pull it up. I don't know what you do with it, but people eat turnip greens, which I assume is the green part of the turnip. So you have the turnip, the actual vegetable, and then you have the greens attached to the turnip that you can then grill up or whatever." And he's like, it's like spinach greens." And I'm like, "Spinach green? Do you mean like the leafy spinach that you eat?" He's like, "No, the spinach greens." Now, I've never heard of anything called spinach greens. Now, I've eaten spinach 1,004 times in my life, because I actually just bought some. Like, this just came from the grocery store. And I said, "Do you mean the part of the spinach that you would put on like a salad or a burger or something like that?" He's like, "No, you take spinach greens and you put them in, a frying pan with a little oil and some salt and whatever seasoning you want." And I said, "Well, hold on. I said, "That's just sauteed spinach." I was like, "There's no green to a spinach then. The spinach that we're talking about is the green." I said, "So with collard greens and spinach greens, there is no separate green from the vegetable." And then he gets into mustard greens, and I'm like, "Well, mustard's a seed. What is the mustard food?" I'm so confused by this point. I don't even understand. I start to Google, and from what I can tell, there's no such thing as a collard. I can't order a collard, but for some reason, there's collard greens. It just makes no sense to me, right? And so we're sitting out there, and we were hunting these stupid groundhogs that have been pestering me for 2 years, and I got one last night. One down, 3 to go. Popped him from 45 yards away. He mostly never saw it coming. At any rate, we're sitting there while we're doing this, and we're discussing all this stuff. It starts to rain, and these 4 does come out of the woods across the street, and they're standing right there at the road. And not being a hunter, I was like, "Now I can shoot those?" He's like, "No, you can't shoot those." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "It's not in season." I'm like, I just find it so un-American that I have to be in season to down an animal. That just seems excessive. And especially an animal that populates that quickly. And so we start talking about, because these deer, I've got persimmons, I've got blackberries, I got all these things that these dang does love to eat on my property. And I got to trim the blackberry, because when I mow, the rops on my mower just rapes down all these dang blackberries, and I'm sitting in like juice, and there's just blackberries everywhere. So I got to get rid of that. I got to make it to where they can't get to them. But anyway, I start talking about all this stuff. Like, I love a good spring mix. I'll even enter it into my menu in the winter. I'm not scared. But, all that stuff comes with like endive, I think radicchio maybe. Obviously romaine, the spinach greens that we were talking about earlier. Obviously arugula, bib lettuce. I like all that stuff, but when it's mixed in. But then I started talking about, I was like, I said, I bet I know what them dang deer would really like. And he's like, what's that? I said, salad dressing. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, think about it. I said, these deer, if they haven't stumbled upon some berry, right? They're just eating just gross green stuff that is bitter and probably has no taste, much like the greens that we were talking about, kale and whatnot. They're basically just eating kale all day long, and it's dry. It ain't sauteed. Ain't got no salting and no dressing. I said, I bet you if I go out here and I pick a bunch of different leaves off of the trees that they enjoy, put them in a big bowl, and drizzle a little salad dressing over it, and just point my cameras towards it and set it for animal, I bet we'd find that they would really enjoy like a nice French country French dressing. I think that would really hit the spot for those deer. And he's looking at me like I'm the weird one, and I'm like, you're the one over there like making up vegetables that don't even exist. So I don't really know. I would think like a carrot, right? Like, for example, a carrot, you have the orange part, which is the carrot, and then you have the green part, which I would assume would be the carrot greens, but I've never heard of carrot greens before. So I guess not every plant that we eat in the grocery store has a counterpart that is considered a green, only some. And then sometimes the greens are mustard and collard, which don't really exist at all as food. None of this makes any sense whatsoever, but I will say that I'll probably never order collard greens on a burger again. It just wasn't for me. Y'all have a good one, Kitty.